Today we're time traveling. It's 2016. Everyone's wearing bomber jackets. Everyone's wearing Adidas. Everyone's having that faded filter on. Fetty Wap is in. Justin Bieber is in. But something's missing. Something is missing that we are all not discussing in the conversation of 2016. What made 2016 so iconic? Little Mix is part of that conversation, and I just don't understand how I've seen no one discuss Little Mix's Glory Days era. Be honest with me for a second. When you think about 2016, 2017, what songs do you remember that were just huge in that era? If you do not include Shout Out to My Ex or Touch or any of the songs from this album, you're lying. You don't remember 2016 like I remember 2016. On the 18th of November 2016, Little Mix released their fourth studio album titled Glory Days, and lives were changed, including mine. This album touches on various topics, including independence, female empowerment, heartbreak, relationships, and many more. Some of the genres on this album include dance pop, EDM, pop, and R&B. When discussing this album with Billboard in 2016, Perry herself said, and I quote, "The reason that we called the album Glory Days is because we're going to look back on this time and say that it was the glory days, that it was the best time of our lives." She couldn't have said that any more perfectly. All of the girls kind of agreed that like this era was probably the peak of their career. You know what I mean? Glory Days was just that girl. I believe this album is a monumental piece of music, culture, and art, and I feel like it deserves its place in the conversation of 2016 being back and like 2016 core and all these things to do with 2016. You cannot mention 2016 without mentioning Little Mix. It's just, you're trying to rewrite history. It doesn't make sense. There's no 2016 without Little Mix's Glory Days. This album is a defining 2010s record that revived and modernized the girl group format. From their insane performances, to their personalities, to their harmonies, like, please, these girls deserve their 10s, like, and they're always gonna get their 10s over here. They had one of the best single runs of any pop artist that year. Like, no word of a lie. How do you come out with back-to-back hits like that in a single year? Like, it's just insane to me. Like, we don't have artists doing that anymore, you know? That was such a 2010s thing. I feel like Rihanna did it, Beyonce did it, like Justin Bieber did it, Ariana Grande did it. Back-to-back hits on one single album. The girlies crave a pop album like this from a girl group. Like, we crave it. This was just truly a time to be alive, and I'm not gonna lie, this was the album that made me a Little Mix fan. I think it was, no, it might have been Get Weird, but this is when I really started loving Little Mix and like just watching their performances constantly and like trying to get people to listen to their music. It was this album that got me to do that, I feel, because Glory Days really just woke me up to their talent and just woke me up to the insane music. And I feel like I'm a dictator of taste. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I feel like when it comes to music, I know what good music is, and especially when it comes to pop, I do not play about my pop girlies, and I just feel like they earned their like rightful place on the row, on the seat of like golden pop girlies. They earned their place with this album. Stay tuned for part 2. Glory Days was an extremely successful era for Little Mix. They truly solidified themselves as such a talented pop act. Of course, a lot of people and their fans already knew that Little Mix was so talented and successful. However, it was in this era that they just took things to another level that we had never seen before at this point. It just shows with the records that they broke, the achievements that they made, and you're gonna see with the few that I mentioned, and these are huge achievements, you're gonna see the things that I mentioned, you're gonna be like, whoa. You probably didn't even realize, like, at the time, everyone knew like Shout Out to My Ex was everywhere, Power was everywhere, Touch was everywhere, but like, you guys don't understand like what they did in this era. Like, they truly solidified themselves as the biggest girl group in the world. Glory Days was Little Mix's first record to top the charts in the UK, and it made them the first girl group in history to achieve #1. In the UK, they sold 96,000 copies in its first week. This made them have the fastest selling album since David Bowie's Black Star. It became the second fastest selling album in 2016. Now, this is a huge achievement because if you think about it, 2016 was filled with incredible artists. Beyonce dropped Lemonade, Rihanna dropped Auntie, Justin Bieber dropped... Okay, he didn't drop anything in 2016, but he was dropping some pop hits. So many pop acts were dropping bangers after bangers, and to be able to like filter through that noise and still break records, like beating David Bowie's record and many others, give these girls their tens. This album had the highest first week UK album sales for a girl group since Spice World in 1997. What? Now, this fact that I'm about to tell you had me shook. This also made them the fastest selling #1 album by a girl group in 15 years since Survivor by Destiny's Child. As a proud member of the Beehive, I'm just like, what? Like, how... Do you guys see the material now? Like, will you guys really like start to take this group seriously? Because beating Destiny's Child, breaking Destiny's Child record is an achievement. It's even an understatement to say it's an achievement. I mean, breaking Spice Girls record, achievement. David Bowie, achievement. These girls were on their 4th studio album and they were breaking records from legendary artists. Like, that is so insane to me. If you watched any of my Survivor era videos that I did, you'll know how successful that era was. So for Little Mix to come 15 years later and beat their record is insane. Like, that is how amazing these girls were during this era. Like, they just were unstoppable. They were so unstoppable. Stay tuned for part 3. You want to talk about legendary albums of 2016? You better include Glory Days in the conversation. Glory Days became the best-selling album by a girl group that decade. I mean, as of right now, it is estimated that the album has sold over 3.8 million copies worldwide. I'm not sure how accurate that is, but that's crazy. That's insane. And in the US, it peaked at number 25 on the Billboard 200. There is a multitude of achievements and accolades that they received from the success of this album and this era. That just gives you a glimpse of how successful this album and this era was for Little Mix. So to promote the album, the girls did what we like to call a very traditional rollout. They were working overtime. Their schedule was very, very intense. If you watch the Glory Days documentary, which they also put out during this era, they give you a bit of insight into how hectic their schedule was. There was a clip in the Glory Days documentary where they were opening for Ariana in the US, and they also had to do a performance in England for the Brits. So like they had like one day to practice the whole performance, and I'm going to get into the performance at the Brits a little later on, but that just gives you a glimpse into how tight their schedule was, but how hard that they were working. And it just shows that all of their hard work paid off, because this era was truly one of their most successful eras. I'm sure all of the girls can collectively agree that this was their best era, especially like commercially wise. Upon researching for these videos, I did find a clip of Perry saying that it was actually her favorite era. Their Brits performances across their career have always been incredible, but this one was just so show-stopping. I think this one really grabbed everyone's attention when they performed. It was a cool concept. They put their all into it. Their choreography is always 10 out of 10. Their harmonies are always 10 out of 10. So it wasn't a surprise that they delivered on all fronts on this performance. It was absolutely insane. It was incredible. It was show-stopping, and they were also nominated for 2 Brit Awards. If I'm not mistaken, I think they were both for Black Magic. In 2016, they were nominated. They didn't win any awards for Black Magic this year, but spoiler alert, they did win in 2017 for Shout Out to My Ex. It was this incredible big moment for them. They did an insane job on this performance. If you haven't watched it, highly recommend you watch it on YouTube because it's just incredible. Another thing that I really loved about this performance is kind of the behind the scenes performance, which again you do see in the Glory Days documentary that's on YouTube if anyone wants to watch. You see how all of them really took part in the creative direction. You see Jade commenting on the importance of making it theatrical and making the music and the choreography tie in with the theme and all of this stuff. And I just love seeing artists at work behind the scenes. It just reminds us as fans and viewers of how much effort and attention to detail goes into these performances. Because it's entertainment, you know, I feel like a lot of people just kind of forget how much work goes into these things, but I, for one, do not forget because I love the whole process. I love watching how people put together their performances, their albums, all of that. It is so fascinating to me, and this performance was just incredible. Stay tuned for part 4. To further promote Glory Days, Little Mix embarked on their second worldwide tour and their 4th concert tour overall. They performed in Europe, in Oceania, and Asia, and sold 80,000 tickets worldwide and completed 70 shows in total. This was their biggest tour yet. If I'm not mistaken, this is their biggest tour to date. Unsurprisingly, with everything that was happening in this era, this tour was extremely successful worldwide. It grossed over $42 million because of the high sales that this tour grossed. It was ranked the 6th grossing female tour of 2017. That's really impressive. They didn't tour Glory Days in America. I blame their label for that. They did open for Ariana on the Dangerous Woman tour, and this led them to have an even bigger fan base in America. Their fan base in the US was steadily growing, and opening for Ariana on the Dangerous Woman tour was just huge because of course Dangerous Woman was just a huge album and a huge tour and a huge era in general. If you are unaware, in 2017 they also supported Ariana at the One Love Manchester benefit concert in support of the victims of the Manchester attack at Ariana's concert, and I actually went to the benefit concert. It was truly an amazing atmosphere. Little Mix really dominated that stage, guys. I'm not even gonna lie, like this was my first time watching them perform, first and only time to be honest. I was like, oh my goodness, I was in awe. Like they did such a great job and they really like commanded and dominated the stage. Like everyone was excited when they were on stage and they performed Wings. It was just a great time. Like truly, they are such great performers. I had not one negative to say about them. Although I do remember during this time, they got a lot of backlash for their outfits at this performance, and I really didn't understand why. Like their outfits are not crazy. They're on stage, they're performing. Like I never understood the backlash that they got when it came to their outfits. Never got it. But again, they are female artists, and like we all know, female artists are just heavily critiqued and they are just scrutinized in ways that male artists aren't. So it goes without saying that their outfits during this era were very, very on trend. They were very, very 2016 core. Dramatic makeup, the colors, matte lipstick. A huge telltale of the era of 2016 for me that stands out is always thigh-high boots and bomber jackets. And in this picture, I think out of all of them, Leanne is probably the most 2016 core girly that I could think of, because she's literally wearing thigh-high boots, denim. She's got like a lace top. They were so in. And a bomber jacket. It doesn't get any more 2016 than that. Again, on the red carpets, they were glam, but they still had edge to it. That was what 2016 fashion and 2016 makeup and like just the aesthetic of 2016 was all about. Leanne is another great example. She's wearing like metallic bold colors, right? As are Jade and Perry. And you can see she's got like a teal braid. Like that is so 2016. I love it. These girls were just inescapable during this era. They were just everywhere. They were on magazine covers. They were doing interviews, photo shoots, everything you can name it. You could not escape this girl group. But I love this for them. Like they were really getting their moment. Jessie's mesh crop is very giving 2016, and then like the edginess of Perry's outfit and Leanne's, I feel like The 2016 for Jade's outfit comes with the choker, because chokers were very in during this era too. So yeah, like, and you can even see like the influence of Ariana's aesthetic during this time. Ariana was always wearing a lot of like oversized hoodies and thigh-high booties, and is, as you can see, Leanne is wearing that exact same formula. So yeah, 2016 was a time in terms of fashion. The girlies were going the dramatic, casual, edgy route. I'm not sure if this is 2016 now that I think about this. This might be 2015, but they were all sporting all denim on the carpet for Capital FM. Another set of outfits that they wore, the colors, the chokers, the lace, the edge. Perry and Jessie here look very, very 2016 core. This is some of the looks that they wore when they won their Brit Award for Shout Out to My Ex in 2017. Again, the aesthetics are just all meshing together with the era. I think out of all of them, I might like Leanne's outfit and Jessie's outfit the most. This is some of the looks that they wore for their music video, Power. I'm pretty sure this is for the Power music video, not the No More Sad Songs music video. But again, just very bold colours, fun, dramatic, the lot. Stay tuned for part 5. When I say I can hear this image, I'm not even joking. Like, I can hear how loud this image is. If I was to use words to describe the Glory Days era, I would just use 2 words. The words that I would use would be loud and fun. It was loud in the best way. And I feel like it's a bit metaphorical, the way it was so loud as well. Like, not only were their voices so powerful and strong, but I feel like it's reflective of where they were in their career at that point. The girls had gotten so much more confident, and they had just built a strong fan base at this point, and they knew who they were. They were confident in their abilities, their skills. I remember being so obsessed with the acoustic version of Touch. The acoustic version of Touch was just perfection. Leanne's vocals, chef's kiss. Shout out to my ex. Incredible. I feel like Glory Days is the perfect post-breakup album to listen to. If you just want to have fun with your girls, if you just want to have fun by yourself, put on this album. Especially in the car, like driving, listening to this album. It's amazing. The platinum version of Glory Days is my favorite. That's the one that gets overplayed so much because I just think they gave us such amazing gems and people don't talk about it enough. And I just feel like they are a very important part of like the 2016 era. Like, they really solidified themselves with their sound. They were a lot more mature than previous eras, just really grown into themselves, and you could tell that by listening to the songs on this album. They were unapologetic, they were confident, and they were independent. They displayed healing in such a sexy, gorgeous, feminist and empowering way that you just had no choice but to respect. I respect their commitment to the art so much. 2016 to 2017 was truly their glory days. It was their reigning era, and they just gave us some of the best pop songs of all time, in my opinion. I'm going to mention some of my favorite songs from this album. Some of them will be from the Platinum Edition. But yeah, let's go through some of my favorite songs from Glory Days. So at the top of my list is Dear Lover. I am a hardcore Dear Lover stan. The bridge in this song, I could cry. Like, I love this song down. Like, please inject it in my veins right now. Dear Lover, I got it straight away. I got it straight away. I heard it for the first time and I was addicted ever since. I think it was one of my top songs in the Spotify Wrapped in 2017. Not even gonna lie, like, it was overplayed by me. Another fave is Nothing Else Matters. I feel like people sleep on that song. I also love Touch, of course, the acoustic version specifically. I love the sound of Leanne's vocals in that. Your Love. It's such a cute romantic song. Like, love it. Power, of course. Like, Power is just amazing. Although I'm not a huge fan of the Stormzy, like featuring Stormzy. I don't know, I just felt like I get it, but I didn't love that version. I think I just prefer the one where it's on their own. You Gotta Know, people sleep on that song as well. And then If I Get My Way, if I get my way, I'ma take. That song is too good. Too good. And I just wish I went to the Glory Days tour, guys. Like, I'm really gutted about that, I can't lie. But if you guys went to the Glory Days tour, please tell me how it was, because it just looked so good on the videos that I watched from the documentary. But also let me know what your favorite songs from this album are. I would love to know. And yeah, just tell me what you remember from 2016 and this Glory Days era, because I remember a lot, and I just feel like we need to appreciate this album as much as possible, because it's truly one of the greatest pop albums of the 2010s, and we should not be leaving this album and this girl group out of conversations when it comes to 2016.